The following numbers are the distance in miles traveled to the workplace by 15 employees of a certain university. In other words, this is how far 15 different employees have to travel. And here are the 15 numbers. Now what we want to do is we want to draw a histogram for these data using an initial class boundary of 1.5 and a class width of 11. Okay, so what we want to do is write down what all of our class limits are, and using this initial class boundary and this class width, and that'll tell us the different classes or different categories for our data, and the frequencies in those classes will tell us how high to make our histograms. So I'm going to draw a box first. And let's see, at the top I'll call it classes. So we'll have classes. And we'll have frequencies in the second column. So in the first class, we're told that the initial class boundary is 1.5 and the class width is 11. So I add 11 to 1.5 to get 12.5. So the next class, technically these are the class limits, is going to be 12.5. Add 11 to that to get 23.5, and then 23.5, add 11 to that to get 34.5, and the next one will be 34.5, add 11 to that to get 45.5, and that's all that we need, because the highest data value we have is a 37, so we've been able to capture all of them. So to figure out what the frequencies are, I'm just going to make tick marks. Okay, every time I see a number that is in a class, I'm going to cross it off and then put a little tick mark in the frequency. So I'm looking, first of all, between 1.5 and 12.5. So how many numbers are in between 1.5 and 12.5? Well, there's one. There's another one. 1.5 and 12.5, that's all. So I have 2 of them. So next, between 12.5 and 23.5. There's one. There's one. Between 12.5 and 23.5. There's one. There's one. And there's another one. So there are 5 of them. Next, between 23.5 and 34.5. There's one. There's one. There's one. Another. Another. And then 2 more. And then how many in between 34.5 and 45.5? Well, there's just one. So now that I have that, I know how to draw my histogram. So I'm going to have 1, 2, 3, 4 bars. So I'll start here at 1.5. Right here will be 12.5. Here, 23.5. 34.5. And 45.5. And let's use a different color. Let's use green to actually draw the bars. So my first class only goes up to 2 because there are 2 of them. My second class goes up to 5. Now notice that there's no gap in between my bars here. There's no gap at all. And that's a feature of histograms. If there was a gap, that would mean I would have a class that had zero data values in there. Next, between 23.5 to 34.5, there are 7. So this will go up to 7. And the last one, from 34.5 to 45.5 is 1. So this just goes up to 1 right there. And there we go. There's the histogram.